The rain fell in slow sheets, making the alleyway colder than usual. Neon signs flickered above, advertising cheap food and engine repairs, but no one paid attention. Most people in this part of the colony city kept their heads down. It wasn't safe to look too long at anything. Jake Carter walked with a tired gait, his boots splashing in puddles. He had just closed his workshop for the day. His hands were still greasy, and his tool belt hung from his waist. Life had been quiet since he left the army and settled on this border world. Quiet, but lonely. As he turned a corner into the alley behind his shop, something stopped him. A small figure was sitting under an old metal staircase. She was curled up, knees to her chest, a thin cloak wrapped tightly around her. Her skin was faintly blue and shimmered under the rain. Her eyes were closed. She didn't move, even when the thunder rumbled above. Jake stepped closer. "Hey," he called out gently, crouching down. "You okay?" The girl didn't reply. He noticed her hands. They were shaking. Her clothes were wet, torn at the sleeves. She looked young, maybe 16 or 17 in human years. But alien aging was hard to guess. Jake looked around. One else was there. "Damn," he muttered. "You're freezing." He took off his jacket and slowly offered it to her. She flinched at first, then opened one eye. A deep violet eye, glowing softly in the dark. "I won't hurt you, Jake," said, still silent. She took the jacket with slow, careful fingers. Jake sighed. "You hungry?" The girl hesitated. Then finally she gave a tiny nod. Jake stood up. "Come on, my place is just there. I'll make something warm." She didn't move. "I'm not going to force you," he added. "But you'll die out here." After a long pause, she stood. Bare feet touched the cold ground. She followed him, one step at a time. Jake's workshop wasn't fancy. It was an old garage that doubled as a repair shop for delivery drones and hoverbikes. But the back room was warm, with a small heater, a table, a kitchen setup. He gave her a towel and turned away while she dried off. "What's your name?" he asked, while heating a packet of stew. She didn't answer. He placed a steaming bowl. On the table, the scent of spices filled the air. She looked at it, then looked at him. "It's safe," Jake said with a soft chuckle. "If I wanted to harm you, I wouldn't offer food." She took a spoon and slowly tasted the stew. Her hands trembled. Her eyes widened. She ate faster, as if afraid someone would take it away. Jake watched quietly. "Don't worry, I got plenty." More where that came from. After a few minutes, the girl finally spoke. Her voice was soft, melodic, but rough from cold and silence. "Solari," she said. Jake blinked. "That your name?" "Solari of House Velneri." He paused. That name sounded familiar, but he couldn't place it. "You're far from home, Solari." She looked down. "There is no home now." Jake didn't ask. "Not yet." Over the next few days, Solari stayed near the workshop. Jake built a small, hidden space for her behind stacked crates, with warm blankets and a light that only turned on when she clapped twice. He called it the cubby. He fixed old equipment while she sat nearby, watching with quiet curiosity. "You always fix things?" she asked one evening. Jake smiled. "I try. Broken stuff's just looking for someone to care, that's all." She tilted her head like people. "Yeah," he said. "Especially people." Solari didn't say much about her past, but Jake learned little things. She was educated, spoke several languages, and once had guards and teachers around her. She liked warm tea but hated loud noises. She had nightmares, sometimes whispering strange names in her sleep. One night, Jake walked in and saw her staring at a holographic display he didn't recognize. It was a moving image of a tall alien queen speaking into the camera with urgency. "That your mother?" Jake asked. Solari quickly turned it off. "Sorry," he added. "Didn't mean to snoop." Solari hesitated. "Yes, that was before." "Everything." Jake sat beside her. "You don't have to explain, but if you ever want to, I'll listen." Nodded slowly. A week passed. One morning, a tall man entered Jake's shop. He wore a gray coat and had a strange accent. said he. Needed his drone scanner fixed. Jake took the device and placed it on the workbench. As he opened it, noticed a strange signal embedded in the software tracking code. The man's eyes kept scanning the room. Jake pretended not to notice. You just passing through? Jake asked. Yes, the man replied. Looking for? Someone. A thief. Dangerous. Jake forced a smile. This place doesn't get many strangers. You sure they came here? The man smiled too, but it was cold. I think so. You might have seen her. Small alien girl. Blue skin. Has a bounty on her. Jake's hands froze. The man added, You know, if someone helps her, they share a sentence. Jake gave a slow nod. I'll let you know if I see anything. After the man left, Jake locked the door and ran to the back. Solari was gone. He found her a block away, hiding behind a dumpster. How did you know? He asked. Panting, I felt him. His scent. He's a Harnick. Jake realized this wasn't just some lost girl. The bounty, the message. The Queenet was all real. She wasn't just Sailori. She was Princess Sailori of Velthera. That night, Sailori finally told him the truth. Her people lived on a rich world, Velthera. It was known for rare minerals and strong diplomacy. But a faction of warlords had taken over, assassinating most of the royal family. Only she escaped smuggled off-world in a diplomatic ship. They think I'm dead, she said, but others still hunt. If I return, I can reclaim my throne. But I am alone. Jake didn't know what to say at first. Then he looked at the shelter he had built. Simple, but safe. You're not alone now, he said, her eyes filled with tears. Why, I'm not human. You owe me nothing. Jake smiled. Maybe not, but I've seen enough war, enough running. If someone's lost, they deserve a place to stand again. She stepped closer. Then let me ask you this, she whispered. If I gave you the chance to leave this broken city behind, would you come with me? Jake didn't answer right away, but the spark in his eyes said more than words ever could. The rain had stopped, but the air was still cold. Jake stood outside his workshop, watching the sky slowly turn from gray to gold. The colony city was waking up, drones buzzing overhead, shopkeepers shouting, machines rumbling. But his thoughts were elsewhere, inside. Princess Sailari of Velthora sat on a stool, legs crossed, watching a small plasma torch flicker in Jake's hand as he fixed a broken engine core. She had changed in just a few days. She wasn't shivering anymore. Eyes were sharper, her voice a little stronger. But Jake knew the danger hadn't passed. If anything, it was just beginning. Do you think that bounty hunter will return? She asked, her voice low. Jake nodded. They don't give up easy. If your face is known, he'll be back. She looked down. Didn't mean to bring trouble here. Jake glanced at her and smiled slightly. Trouble shows up even without you, princess. You just gave it a name. She didn't smile back. That bothered him. He wiped his hands on a rag. All right. If you're staying here, we need better protection. That little cubby I built, it won't be enough if someone kicks down the door. She tilted her head. What will you do? Jake tapped the side of the engine core. Going to build you something better. Over the next few days, Jake worked like he hadn't in years. He cleared out the back storage area, cutting into the wall to create a secret door. He scavenged metal plates from old engines, turned scrap parts into sensors, hid energy shields. Under floorboards, Solari helped, her fingers graceful and careful, learning quickly. You've got good hands. Go, Jake said once as she soldered a wire. She looked at him, surprised. I've never built anything before, or you just needed the right reason. They shared a quiet moment. By the end of the week, the back of Jake's workshop had become a hidden living pod. It had heat, light, food storage, and a bunk tucked behind a reinforced wall. It was small but safe. Jake stood back proudly. Might not be a palace, Your Highness, but it'll keep you alive. Solari smiled, really smiled for the first time. It's not a palace, she said softly, but it feels like home. That evening, Jake taught her how to fix a drone's navigation circuit. She laughed when he accidentally shocked himself. He laughed too, pretending it didn't hurt. You know, he said, you're not what I expected from a royal. Raise an eyebrow. What did you expect? Someone who complains about dust? She chuckled. On Valthera, I had servants to clean dust. And now, you're cleaning engine grease. She looked down at her hands, stained with oil, and smiled. I prefer this. But peace doesn't last long in the outer colonies. The very next morning, Jake noticed something wrong. A delivery crate had been moved outside. Shop slightly. Just enough to make him pause. He scanned the area. Nothing seemed stolen, but the motion sensors deactivated. Only someone skilled could do that. "C'est Larry," he said calmly, entering the shop. "Stay in the back room. Lock the door. Don't come out until I say." Her eyes widened. Is it him? Could be? Just do it. She obeyed. Jake grabbed a wrench, nothing too suspicious, and stepped outside. A man leaned against the wall across the street. Same gray coat, same cold smile. "I told you I'd return," the man said. Jake kept his face calm, still looking. "For that thief, princess," the man corrected. "She's worth quite a bit alive. Do you know how much?" Jake shrugged. Not interested. The bounty hunter stepped forward. "People like you never get involved. You don't look like a hero." Jake gave a half smile. "Good means you'll underestimate me." The man moved fast, pulling a small blaster from his coat. But Jake moved faster. He slammed the wrench into the man's hand, knocking the blaster away. The two wrestled, Jake blocking a punch, then landing one of his own. Years of soldier training kicked in, but the bounty hunter was strong. Too strong for a normal human. Jake was thrown against the wall. Wind knocked out. The man stood over him, breathing heavy. "She'll be gone by the time you wake up." Jake gritted his teeth. "No, ... She won't." From behind, a sudden blast of light struck the bounty hunter's shoulder. He cried out, stumbling. "Scholar!" I stood in the doorway, holding Jake's old stun rifle. Her hands shook, but her aim was true. The bounty hunter turned and ran. Disappearing into the crowd, Jake groaned as he sat up. "I told you to stay inside." "I heard fighting," she said, her voice breaking. "I couldn't." "I won't hide while you risk your life." He looked at her, proud but worried. "You just told the whole city you're armed." "Then we can't stay here," she said. Jake nodded. "No, we can't." They moved that night. Jake loaded his tools and parts into an old cargo sled. He took food, water, battery packs, everything they might need. The small, hidden room was left behind, empty and cold. Solari helped him. "Cover the sled with old tarps." "Where will we go?" she asked. "There's an old shuttle hangar outside the city. Abandoned. I worked on it once. No one goes there anymore." "Is it safe?" Jake looked at her. "Safer than here." They left under the cover of darkness. The city lights faded behind them. The hangar was dusty and full of rusted parts, but it had walls, power outlets, and an underground section for storing cargo, perfect for hiding. Jake worked all night, setting up motion detectors, traps, and a fresh hideout deep in the hangar's lower level. Solari watched him, tired but alert. "You're doing all this for me," she whispered. Jake didn't stop working. "Someone has to." She walked closer. "You could have let him take me. Saved yourself." He finally turned to her. I'm not that kind of man." She lowered her eyes. "I know. That's why I trust you." Jake paused. Something had changed. Her voice was softer, warmer. Not just a refugee anymore. Not just a stranger. A friend. He cleared his throat. "You should rest. It'll be a long day tomorrow." She nodded. "Thank you, Jake." He smiled. "Anytime, princess." The next morning, Solari found an old datapad in the hangar. Jake helped her power it up. Inside was a sealed message. She opened it. Her eyes widened. Her hand shook. "It's from a loyal diplomat," she whispered. "Someone from Valthora. They're alive. They want to meet me." Jake leaned over. The message included coordinates, a moon not far from the system, a resistance base, a chance to reclaim her home. "You sure it's real?" Jake asked. "No, she admitted, but if it is, I could go back. I could fight for my people. Jake studied the message. You'll need a ship. We don't have one. Jake's eyes narrowed. But I know where to get one. Solari looked at him. He said simply, if you're going to take back your world, you're not doing it alone. The sun rose slowly over the broken edge of the colony. From the rooftop of the old shuttle hangar, Jake looked out at the city's distant glow. His jacket was dusty. His boots were cracked. But his mind was full of only one thing now. They needed a ship below him. Solari sat beside a small heater, wrapped in a blanket, her violet eyes glowing faintly. She stared at the datapad, reading the message from her people again and again. They're waiting for me, she said softly. Jake nodded. Then let's get moving. There was only one place nearby where someone like Jake could steal or board a ship, the salvage yard. It was run by a rough gang of humans and aliens who collected old parts and sold stolen goods. Jake had worked for them once, years ago. Fixing a damaged cargo cruiser, they owed him a favor, small one. He strapped on his tool belt and checked his old sidearm. You're not going alone, Solari said, stepping forward. Jake looked at her. It could be dangerous. I'm used to danger. And if this is for Valthera, then I must face it. He didn't argue. She was stronger than before. He could see it in her eyes. They walked through the outskirts until they reached the yard. Old ship parts were stacked like mountains. Engine cores, cracked hulls, scorched landing gear. Everything was rusted and half-dead. A tall alien named Varric, with green skin and 6 arms, stood at the entrance. Carter, he grunted. Didn't think I'd see you again? Jake smiled. Still ugly as ever, Varric? Varric chuckled. Still broke, I bet. Jake nodded. I need a favor. I need a working ship. Varric's smile vanished. A working one? That's not cheap? I'm not asking for a gift, Jake said. I'll fix it. I'll upgrade your systems. You let me borrow a ship for one trip. Varric looked past him. His eyes narrowed when he saw Solari, who's... The girl, Jake stepped in front of her. None of your business, Solari spoke. I am Solari of House Velneri, Princess of Valthera. Varric blinked. You serious? She nodded. I need to return. My people need me. The alien looked at Jake. You're helping her? Jake nodded. She helped me first. Varric scratched his chin. There's a small courier ship in Dock 3. Fast, ugly, and the left engine leaks plasma. Fix it, and it's yours, just for this trip. Jake grinned. Deal. It took them a full day to repair the ship. Solari held lights and fetched tools while Jake sealed the plasma leak and reconnected the jump drive. He worked with focus and speed like the old days. They named the ship Rustwing. It was small, no weapons, but fast enough to reach the moon. Where the message had come from? That night, before departure, Solari stood beside the open ramp. Her eyes looked up at the stars. Are you scared? Jake asked. Yes, she said. But I've been scared for a long time. Now I feel something else too. Jake looked at her. Hope. She whispered. The jump to the outer moon took 6 hours. Rustwing flew through deep space, her engines humming. Solari watched the stars fly past from the cockpit window. Jake set course and kept checking the scanners. Any signs of pursuit? She asked. Nothing yet, he said. But bounty hunters don't sleep for long. As they approached the moon, they saw lights hidden among the craters. A small base flickered in the darkness. Jake sent a signal. No reply. He sent it again. This time a voice came through. Who approaches? Jake leaned into the comm. We have Princess Solari of Valthera. She received your message. Long silence. Then land, slowly and alone. They landed carefully. Jake kept his hand on his sidearm as they stepped out. The moon was dusty. The air thin, but breathable. Several figures appeared from the shadows of Valtheran rebels. Some wore pieces of old royal armor. Others had cloaks hiding their faces. One stepped forward. It's an older Valtheran man with silver tattoos across his cheeks. He knelt. Princess, you live. Solari nodded. I live, but barely. The man stood. I am Callan, former advisor to your mother. Sent the message. I feared it would never reach you. It reached me, she said. Thanks to this human. Jake gave a small wave. Just doing my part. Callan studied him carefully. You. Humans would risk death for our kind. Jake shrugged. She was cold. I had a heater. The rebels smiled. Inside the base, Solari saw more of her people-injured soldiers. Young children, elders, who had escaped the fall of Valthera, their faces lit up when they saw her. Some cried, others reached out to touch her hand. She came. Back, one whispered. The princess came back. Jake stood in a corner, watching her speak to her people. She looked different now, taller somehow, her voice clear and commanding. Later, Kellen called Jake aside. You've done more for her than many of our own, he said. But I must ask why. Jake looked at him, because someone should have. Helped her a long time ago, because I've seen what happens when good people stay silent. Callan nodded. You are welcome among us. He held out a small emblem, a silver crescent moon, symbol of the Veltheran royal family. Jake took it carefully. The next morning, the base was full of activity. Celery stood before the gathered rebels and made a short speech. I was only a child when they took our world. I ran, I hid, but I survived. Now, I return not alone, not weak, but with you. We will rise again, the crowd cheered. Callan stepped forward. There is one thing we still need. Way to speak to Velthora, to let them know their princess lives. Jake's eyes lit up. I can do that. Jake and the rebels worked together to build a signal booster. He rigged it using parts from Rustwing and the base's old relay tower. Solari helped carry equipment, her royal robes replaced by utility gear. When the device was ready, Jake activated it. A soft hum filled the room. Then a signal pushed through. The stars, reaching Valthera's orbit, bouncing across satellites, piercing the networks of the enemy regime, a message played on every screen. Every comm tower, every data slate. I am Solari of House Valneri. I live, and I will return. To those who still believe in Valthera rise, you are not alone. Jake watched the message play. She wasn't a lost girl anymore. She was a leader that night.
Now, while the rebels celebrated, Jake stood outside the base.
Staring at the stars, Solari joined him. You didn't have to come this far, she said. Jake looked at her. You didn't have to trust me, but you did. She touched the silver emblem on his chest. You could stay here, she whispered. You'd be safe. You'd be part of something bigger. Jake raised an eyebrow. Are you inviting me into your world, princess? She smiled. You built me a shelter when I had nothing. I want to give you something more. Jake said nothing for a long time, but his hands slowly reached for hers. They stood together, looking toward the stars and the home they both now shared, even if neither of them had planned it. The rebel base buzzed with energy. After the broadcast, news had spread quickly. Veltheran's citizens who had hidden in fear now dared to hope again. Whispered stories of the lost princess were spoken openly. Solari stood at the center of this new movement, her presence a beacon. Jake felt it too, the weight of what was to come. Solari's voice was steady as she addressed the council of rebels that morning. The enemy will not wait long to strike. We must prepare for retaliation. Callan, the advisor, nodded. Our scouts report increased patrols near our base. They know you're alive, Jake added, and they're coming for you. For us. Solari looked at him, then the council. We can't run forever. We must stand and fight, but carefully. The room was tense. They needed a plan and a way to protect everyone. The first problem was their location. The moon was isolated, but vulnerable. The rebels agreed to move to a larger, hidden stronghold on Valthera itself. It was deep inside a mountain range, with natural defenses. But how will we get there? One of the rebels asked. The enemy controls the skies. Solari's eyes met Jake's. He stepped forward. I know a way. Jake had spent days studying old star charts and navigation files. From Rustwing's database, there was a secret path and network of asteroid tunnels in space, debris fields where larger ships wouldn't follow. We'll use Rustwing and some smaller craft to sneak through, Jake explained. It'll be dangerous, but it's our best. Chancellery nodded. Then we prepare. Over the next few days, they worked non-stop. Jake upgraded Rustwing's engines for better speed and stealth. Rebels refurbished smaller ships for the journey. Solari met with leaders, coordinating the evacuation. Children, elders, and fighters alike packed their belongings. At night, Jake helped Solari with her royal duties. She studied diplomacy, strategy, and how to inspire hope, not just fear. One evening, while reviewing plans, Solari asked, "Why do you believe in me?" Jake looked up, surprised. "Because I've seen what you can do. You don't just survive, you lead." "Then stay with me. Help me bring Valthera back." The day came to move. Rustwing led the convoy out of the moon base quietly as they passed through the asteroid tunnels. Jake's nerves tightened. Suddenly, the quiet was shattered by alarms. Enemy ships. "Ah!" a scout shouted. The convoy scattered. Trying to hide behind rocks and debris, Jake pushed Rustwing's engines to the limit, weaving through the narrow tunnels. Solari gripped the console, helping guide him. A laser blast hit the side of Rustwing, sending sparks flying. "Hold on." Jake yelled. With quick thinking, he triggered an old smokescreen device, filling the tunnels with thick clouds. The enemy ships lost sight. Rustwing slipped away. After hours of tense flight, they reached the mountain stronghold. The rebels cheered. Quietly inside the cavern, Solari looked out a small window at Velthara's surface scarred from war. But alive. "This is home," she said, voice thick with emotion. Jake stood beside her. "And you're the queen it needs." But safety was temporary. The enemy soon discovered their new base. One night, alarms blared. "Attack!" shouted a soldier. Explosions rocked the cavern as enemy drones bombarded the stronghold. Solari grabbed a rifle, leading the rebels to defend. Their home, Jake fought beside her, using his engineering skills to control the energy shields and repair damaged defenses. Amid the chaos, Solari shouted orders, her voice strong and sure. "Hold the line. Protect the civilians." After hours of battle, the enemy retreated. The rebels counted their losses few, but painful. Solari knelt beside a wounded fighter. "We will rebuild," she said, stronger and united. Jake approached her. "You led them well," he said. She smiled wearily. "I learned from the best." He nodded, feeling a strange warmth. Days passed. Solari and Jake walked through the quiet tunnels. She stopped near a small garden planted by the rebels, a symbol of hope. "Thank you," she said softly. "For what?" "For believing in me. For giving me a home." He looked at her, heart pounding. "You invited me," she smiled, stepping closer. "Then stay. This is your home now." Jake reached for her hand. Together, they looked out at the distant stars too. Souls from different worlds, united by hope, courage, and a shared dream. The rebel stronghold was quiet after the battle. The air smelled of smoke and dust. Soldiers moved slowly, tending to the wounded and fixing broken equipment. But beneath the tired faces, there was a spark of hope. Solari stood near the entrance, looking out at the horizon of Valthora. The planet was battered, but alive. The war was far from over, but for the first time, her people believed in a future. Jake approached her, hands in his pockets, a small smile on his face. "We did good," he said quietly. Solari turned. "We did, but this is only the beginning." Jake nodded. "I know." That night, Solari called a meeting of the council. Rebels gathered in the central hall, warriors, diplomats, and citizens who had risked everything to stand for Valthera's freedom. "I have received word from loyalists inside the capital," Solari began. "They say the enemy's leader is vulnerable. This is our chance." The room grew silent. "We must strike carefully," she continued, "not with anger, but with justice." Jake listened as the plan was laid out. The rebels would infiltrate the capital, avoid open battle, and capture the enemy leader alive. This would show the people that Velthera's new rule was fair and strong. Salary turned to Jake. You will lead the tech team. He raised an eyebrow. You sure? I'm just a mechanic? She smiled. You're more than that. You're my friend. And we need every skill we have. The day of the mission arrived. Rustwing was ready. The rebels were quiet but determined. As they approached the capital's orbit, Jake felt a knot in his stomach. The city below was massive, a web of towers, lights, and secrets. They landed on a hidden platform beneath the city. Jake's team hacked into the security systems while the fighters prepared to move. Inside the city, tension was high. Jake worked quickly to disable cameras and unlock doors. Suddenly, alarms blared. We've been detected, Jake shouted. Gunfire echoed. The rebels moved fast. Covering Jake as he raced to the control room, Solari led the charge. Her eyes fierce. After a tense fight, they reached the enemy leader's chamber. The leader was a tall figure, dressed in dark. Armor eyes cold and hard, Solari stepped forward. This ends now, the enemy laughed. You, a lost princess, hiding with humans. Solari's voice was steady. I am the hope of Velthera, and you will answer for your crimes. The fight was short. The rebels overwhelmed the leader, who was captured alive. Back at the stronghold, the rebels broadcast the capture across Veltea. Hurrah, the people cheered. Celery addressed her people for the first time as their true leader. We will rebuild. We will heal together. Jake stood beside her, proud and hopeful. Days later, Jake walked through a new settlement being built. Shelters rose where ruins once stood. Children laughed, playing under alien and human skies. Salari approached him, holding 2 cups of warm tea. You stayed, she said softly. Jake smiled. I did. This is home now. She handed him a small key. For your shelter. Built by Veltheran hands. Jake looked at the key, then at her. Thank you, he said. She smiled. No, thank you. For seeing me as more than a princess, for seeing me as a person. They stood together as the twin suns set, 2 worlds united by courage, kindness, and a shared future.